is on the path towards full independence. So no agreement with the EU, but
welcome to Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network. It's all about the news, events, and stories abounding in the country. One story per time, one follow-up after the other. Our appetite for in-depth, unbiased, and factual reportage is the driving principle for this program, hence the drive to bring the news breaks to your doorstep. The highlights. In Rivers State, CP speaks on fight against criminals disturbing peace. MNJTF neutralized terrorists in Mora, Nigeria. In Lagos State, commercial drivers stage peaceful protest over park closure. Fan reopens runway 18L 36R. Engineer invents first ever solid fuel rocket. We take a short break now, and when we return, straight to the details. Stay tuned.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
you human trafficker.
Honourable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back, and now we dive straight into the details for today. Rivers State Police Command says it has achieved notable success in its fight against criminal activities within the state, with the arrest of 4 individuals involved in vandalism and armed robbery. The Commissioner of the State Police, Olatunji Rewandisu CP, who disclosed this in Port Harcourt, expressed concern over vigilante members' involvement in criminal enterprises, as well as the command's commitment to apprehend all individuals involved in criminal activities, regardless of their affiliations or positions within law enforcement structures. A statement by the police PPRO Grace Inringe Koko said among those apprehended is the local vigilante commander in Isiokpo Ododo Kingsley Obubochi, along with 3 other executive members of the local vigilante group. On 26 March 2024, while the vigilante group executives, namely Mark Prince, Destiny Onuigbo, and Azubike Olu, utilized their positions to access the group's armory, which they subsequently used in perpetrating criminal acts. The statement also said sequence of events leading to the arrest unfolded when a scrap daily, adding that allowing negotiations, Ododo agreed to provide firepower and monitoring during the operation, with Prince team responsible for mass dismantling, and fee of 500,000 naira was set for Ododo's participation. The command said operation planned with Ododo providing cover and while their criminal activities were disrupted when they were intercepted by police patrol units during the operation. And items recovered from the arrested individuals include 3 automatic pump action guns, 1 live cartridge, 1 plier, 1 machete, and 2 Clink motorcycles without registration numbers. Analysts have called on Governor Similaye Fubara to media chat for an open breakdown of the increased current IGR of the state. Speaking on Wish FM live program, a political analyst, Obi Nuchioka, lauded the transparency of Governor Fubara on the disclosure of state current financial status, and further tasked the Governor Fubara on a detailed breakdown on the achievements so far. In view of the development, Obinu Chioka identified that an increased internal generated revenue will affect the economy of the state positively, as well as contributing to the development of the state and livelihood of the people of Rivers State.
Everybody should be happy that the IGR of our state has moved from say 12 about 14 billion to where we are now. That's a good one. It's going to affect the economy of the state positively and also add to the development of the state. But for now, we need to have detail of what the governor did. So before we commend him or now know whether it is political.
This is coming after the Rivers State Governor Fubara said the state under his watch generates between 26 to 27 billion naira monthly as internally generated revenue, adding that his administration operates the 22nd April 2024 during an early morning encounter near the Cameroon-Nigerian border in Sueram, where MNJTF troops neutralized an additional 2 Boko Haram terrorists. He continued this operation led to the recovery of 1 PKM machine gun, 1 AK-47 rifle, 5 magazines, and 20 rounds of 7.62 mm ammunition. The MNJTF continues to appreciate the support and information provided, he said, by local communities which have been assisting in the successes. We appeal for continued and increased community support as the MNJTF remains committed to ensuring the safety and security of the Lake Chad Basin, reinforcing the collective resolve to eliminate the menace of terrorism in the region. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria has notified the public and all stakeholders that runway 18L 36R has been reopened for flight operations at about 8 p.m. This is contained in a statement signed by Mrs. Obiageli Ora, Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, FAN, on Tuesday in Lagos. Ora said the development followed the earlier closure of the runway on Tuesday morning due to an incident involving a Dana aircraft with registration number F5NBKI, which overshot the runway during its landing sequence. She said prompt actions were taken by FAN's emergency response team to evacuate and recover the aircraft from the site. Subsequently, comprehensive clearing operations were conducted to ensure the runway was free of any foreign object debris that could impede flight safety. She added that the FAN Operations Division and the Nigeria Airspace Management Agency had jointly conducted a thorough inspection of the runway surface and deemed it safe for the resumption of operations. Also, an appropriate notice to airmen has been issued in this regard. Shehu Saleh Balami is a Nigerian engineer who designed and invented a solid fuel rocket, the first ever in the world. He has been involved in designing rockets since 2000 and came into limelight at the age of 28 after he designed the first ever solid fuel rocket. Balami is a graduate of mechanical engineering from the Federal University of Technology, Minna, Niger State. He was said to have produced 2 solid fuel rockets which were launched along the new Kaduna Millennium City Road in Kaduna State. In 2008, with the assistance of relatives and allies, he was able to build his first rocket, which he later modified in 2011. The solid fuel rocket was produced under the auspices of the Movement for the Propagation of Science and Technology in Nigeria. With Balami's invention, it is indisputable that Nigeria is endowed with inventors who have contributed in designing wind-propelled turbines to create power and hospital-in-a-box, among others. African leaders, including heads of state and government, ministers of defense, national security advisors, representatives of regional organizations, UN and others, have adopted the Abuja Declaration to tackle terrorism in Africa. The declaration, made at the end of the high-level African counter-terrorism meeting held on Monday and Tuesday in Abuja, was presented by the National Coordinator, National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adamu Laka. The event was themed Strengthening Regional Cooperation and Institution Building to Address the Evolving Threat of Terrorism in Africa. The declaration, among other things, recognized the continuing relevance of the instruments adopted by the African Union, including the Communiques of the African Union Peace and Security Council and the United States Security Council, as well as relevant normative frameworks of all the participating regional economic communities and regional mechanisms. These, according to the declaration, are aimed at addressing the scourge of terrorism and violent extremism on the African continent. They record in particular the desire of the AU to silence the guns on the continent by the year 2030 and noted the fact that the spread of terrorism and violent extremism in different parts of Africa poses a significant threat to its peace, security, and stability. It emphasized an African-led and African-owned approach to countering terrorism, strengthening regional and sub-regional cooperation, encouraging prevention and effective countermeasures to address the spread of terrorism, and building capacities of member states critically challenged by terrorism and violent extremist tendencies. Contrary to the account, the youths of Okwama, Ewo, Nuheli South local government area of Delta State shot and killed 17 military personnel at the waterside on March 14. The community has sworn that the soldiers who departed the settlement met their death along the Focados River while returning to their military base in Bomadi local government area. Secretary General of the community, Mr. Bernard Seba, declared Okwama Ewo's counterposition of supporting affidavits to the 151 billion naira suit the people filed against Delta State at the Federal High Court in Warri as respondents. The first applicant on the matter of enforcement of their fundamental human rights was Professor Arthur Ekpekpo, President General of Ewu Clan Development Forum, declared wanted by the defense head, among others, the killing of the 17 soldiers. He hails from Okwama, Ewu. The second and third applicants are Mr. James Ogoroko, President General of Okwama Ewo, and Mr. Esegba for themselves and on behalf of the Okwama community in Ewo Kingdom. Moving on now, the World Bank, in collaboration with the Nasarawa state government, on Tuesday held a one-day sensitization workshop for stakeholders on the dangers of gender-based violence and female genital mutilation. The workshop brought together community and religious leaders from all 13 local government areas of the state. This effort, according to the Nigeria COVID-19 Preparedness and Response Project, a World Bank-assisted project, was necessary due to the increasing cases of gender-based violence and other issues affecting the girl child in the state. During the sensitization workshop in Lafia, the gender pillar head of COPREP in the state, Esther Yona, expressed concern about the negative impact of gender-based violence and female genital mutilation on the self-esteem of women. She explained that female rights had been the most abused and neglected despite the several campaigns launched to create awareness, which was what necessitated the workshop. And I quote, "There have been a lot of issues concerning gender-based violence, sexual exploitation, and sexual harassment. That was why the World Bank supported Nasarawa State through the Center for Disease Control to implement this project in the state." She continued, sometime in February, we were able to call stakeholders here in Lafia to develop the state's action plan to ensure that the people are safe in their workplaces, schools, and communities, to fight against gender-based violence and female genital mutilation in their respective communities in order to restore the confidence of many oppressed females across the state and to forestall future occurrences. In 2023, you would record that Nigeria recorded 27,698 cases of sexual and gender-based violence between 2020 and 2023, according to the data manager, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Sunday Agbakaba. There's more news, but don't forget you can connect with us and watch us on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X, Atlantic TV-net. You can also watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. We'll be right back. All right, moving on, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo-san, in an interview, has vowed that the federal government will be tough on unsilenced private aircraft operating commercial operations. He said, "These things we cannot discuss before the camera because there are people within the system, bad eggs, who just want to take gratification and endorse these untrained people to continue, not knowing that you are putting the flying public in danger. He continued by saying, I have my intelligence report on this, and I'm going to do something about it very soon. You're going to hear some kind of announcement I will make in the next 1 or 2 weeks on this issue, including unlicensed private aircraft in commercial operations. These private jets are operating commercially to a huge loss of revenue to the federal government, he added. They get licenses for private operations, but do 5 to 8 commercial flights a day. It's economic sabotage, and I'm not going to allow that to happen, he said. Some people who are even my friends or friends of Mr. President, we are going to come hard on all of them and perhaps ground all their planes, withdraw their licenses. We are not going to allow that to happen. According to the minister, airline maintenance, repair, and overall, among others, are issues affecting Nigeria's aviation industry. He said a functional aviation system in Nigeria will push demand for the Naira in Africa. Some commercial drivers under the umbrella of CMS Taxi and Bus Nigeria Limited Marina Lagos yesterday stayed the usage of their park for an event but was later locked up. Special advisor to the governor on transportation, Shola Jiwa, in reaction to the protest, said drivers were not being sincere on what really transpired. He said the park was locked up due to its operators' refusal to register with the government, adding that the park operators were operating without complying with the state's law. A group of passengers thwarted a kidnapping attempt by killing a terrorist in Zamfara State. Reports say that the incident unfolded when the family of the bride-to-be and other travelers were ambushed by bandits along the Talata-Mafara-Gusau highway. The bride's family had embarked on a journey to purchase clothing and other wedding materials in Kano. However, who spoke to correspondents revealed that the response was spontaneous once the bandits had selected their victims. Despite one of the bandits managing to escape, the brave passengers captured 2 AK-47 rifles. Correspondents further gathered that amidst the courageous effort of the group, one of the passengers suffered a sudden heart attack due to the traumatic experience and later died in hospital. Over now to Kwara State government has buried all confiscated meat from the alleged poisonous cows meant for slaughter and sale for public consumption. Correspondence investigation revealed that the contaminated cow beef were buried around the Kwara State College of Arabic and Islamic Legal Studies in Ilorin, the state capital. This follows several measures already put in place by the government to prevent meat sellers and the residents from consuming the meat from the contaminated animals. In a statement released by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mrs. Funke Sokoto, to unsuspecting public at the various marketplaces. According to the group, over 33 number of cows were suspected to be poisoned and died immediately, but surprisingly the dead animals were slaughtered and distributed out to butchers to be sold. The government, in a State House statement titled Kwara Government Team Arrives Mandate Market, confiscates suspected beef, which was jointly signed by the State Commissioners of Health and Agriculture, Dr. Amina L. Imam and Toyosi Thomas Adebayo, respectively, explained that the government team had visited the mandate market to confiscate the alleged poisonous cow meat. The statement read in parts, and I quote, "The Kwara State government officials and experts have arrived at the mandate market in Ilorin to activate measures to protect the public amid rumors of poisoned cow meats." The Lagos State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps says it is 100-plus road. Its 100-plus road crashes in the first quarter of 2024 has been recorded. The sector commander Babatunde Farinloye told news agency 17 died with the period under review. We had a total of 179 casualties, which comprised 162 injured persons and 17 deaths. A total of 111 cases were recorded, 14 fatal, 65 serious, and 32 minor cases. The sector commander said 98 commercial vehicles, 69 owned by individuals, and 2 government vehicles were involved in the accidents. we are pushing for zero fatality. Accidents occur due to many reasons, including environmental and mechanical errors, but majorly the cause of the accident is attached under human error. It goes ahead to say that it is humans that will go above recommended speed limits. They will not recognize signals and signs on the road. They don't maintain the vehicle. They will see that the road is not good and still want to go above the speed limits, he lamented. Recall that earlier in March, 2 passengers fell off the 3rd mainland bridge into the lagoon as a commercial bus they were on crashed. The Lagos Territorial Coordinator National Emergency Management Agency, Ibrahim Farinloye, confirmed the crash in a statement. Rainstorm wreaked havoc on Omu and Ijelu Ekiti, 2 neighboring communities in Oye during the rainstorm. Afuye said, and I quote, "The governor sympathizes with you. This is a sad incident, but the government is still coming for comprehensive assessment and enumeration. We shall surely help you to rebuild what you have lost," he said. "We thank God that nobody died, but we are still appealing to you to key into our tree planting policy. Tree planting trees around your houses will help in controlling storms. Our traditional rulers must help in sensitizing our people to the need to take some precautionary measures in their council and town meetings by way of encouraging them to plant trees around their houses. This is part of the ways to prevent a disaster of this nature." The Owa Jomo of Omu-Ekiti, Oba Adeyeye Ogundeyi, who hailed Oyebanji for the assessment toll, said a total of 22 houses
land from the invasion of the Fulani herdsmen. So I think to protect their land, then they should also mobilize within their communities to put in place certain vigilantes and youth groups.
Fine-Face Dunamene also stressed on the reasons for the increasing insecurity rate across the country.
And when you talk about this as a way of addressing herders, maybe secession, so that you cannot, because people invade your land, you want to separate from another country. Even after you are in a different country, let me say the Oduduwa Republic, you are there now. Nigeria is your neighbor. People are still going to cross into your country. You should ask Chad, you should ask Niger what is happening. You should ask the US, the UK, Italy, Middle East, what is happening, people moving, desperate journeys, people are crossing into country, invading country. Ask what is happening between Mexico and the US, Canada, ask this country. So now, it has well over 14,000, over 1,400 illegal routes into the country that Nigeria as a country has not been able to control. So all of this put together, even if you're in a different country, you're still going to have the issue and the problem we are having. So what they need to do is to really be able to look inwards to address their
Determination movement led by Sunday Boho has written an open letter to President Bola Tinubu seeking a peaceful breakaway of Yoruba people from Nigeria. As a controversy on whether or not to establish state police in countries, Ehindero alongside a lawyer have expressed the desirability of state police but warned against abuse. Ehindero, in a paper entitled "It is Time for State Police in Nigeria," said the issue of creation of state police is a national issue of public interest, surpassing sectorial interests. About state police, which already exists now through federalism, promotes state autonomy, and states should be made autonomous through one of the means called state policing. Sokoto State Governor Ahmed Aliyu has dethroned 15 district heads over alleged insubordination, land racketeering, aiding in security and conversion of public properties. The press secretary to the governor, Abubakar Bawa, announced the dethronement on Tuesday evening in a statement. The district heads dethroned include Ungualale, Yabo, Wamako, Tuluwa, Ilela, Dogondaji, Kebe, Alkamu, and Giyawa district. Others were those appointed by the former governor Aminu Tambuwa at the tail of his administration. The acting vice-chancellor of Ladoke Akintola University of Technology of Ogbomoso, Oyo State, Professor Razak Kalilu, has announced the introduction of an additional 6 degree programs for the institution. Kalilu made this known while addressing the congregation at the grand finale of the 16th convocation ceremony of the university held inside the Great Hall of the institution in Ogbomoso on Tuesday. He stressed that the academic outlook of the institution was rapidly changing in its bid to fulfill the mandate of the university and the vision of its visitor, Governor Seyi Makinde. In his address, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council of the institution, Professor Ayodeji Omole, charged the graduates to be good ambassadors for the university. Following comments by Abuja-based Chinese supermarket in Nigeria with the headquarters located along Airport Road, Abuja, of having a supermarket that Nigerians cannot enter nor buy goods from. This is coming after it was reported on social media that a Nigerian visited the supermarket and was stopped at the gate, refusing him entering, with the explanation that Nigerians are not allowed to enter for reasons given. Atlantic Television Network's correspondent who visited the China Chamber in Abuja has the reports.
The China Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria, with the headquarters located along Airport Road, Abuja, is a chamber registered in Nigeria and filled with the Ministry of Commerce of China. It is a chamber that oversees China enterprise and business associations. Nigeria-China Chamber of Commerce members involve all large Chinese enterprise in Nigeria, involving oil and gas, infrastructure, manufacturing, communication, agriculture, mining, internet, and other field services. Since the establishment of the China Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria, it has been highly supported by the two governments serving Chinese enterprise in Nigeria, promoting economic and trade exchanges between the two countries and promoting exchanges in various fields between the two countries through forums, exhibitions, periodicals, cultural, sport activities, and other forms to promote Chinese products and Chinese culture. But for a few days now, there has been news on social media that one of the supermarkets inside the chamber is being restricted to Chinese and thereby refusing Nigerians from buying in the supermarkets. On Tuesday, 23rd of April, Atlantic Television Network find out that the supermarket has been closed down for further notice following the allegation of serving only the Chinese in Nigeria and the Nigerians working inside the chamber, while it was bound to Nigerians coming from outside to the chamber. According to the assistant facility operator, Sanusi Shuaibu, who responded to the Atlantic Television Network via phone call, and some staffs of the chamber said the supermarket has never been restricted to anyone, adding that the owner of the supermarket is a tenant in the Royal House estate inside the chamber that do not have right to decide whether to sell for only Chinese and refuse selling for Nigerians.
This is the supermarket. So we are the facility operator. So the person that has this supermarket, as we are black, we used to come inside and buy things. But the rumor that we are hearing outside, we don't know, maybe it's true, because it's not true. You understand? Because we are buying things here. So maybe they went to the security to tell the security to not allow the black. It is between them. We don't know anything, you know. This is not the supermarket. This is owned by Chinese, but Chinese woman, yes. The supermarket is owned by Chinese woman.
No, to say the fact, I'm even surprised now. You understand? I'm surprised now because as I'm coming yesterday, I'm supposed to buy, I normally buy this exotic, or this Five Alive, I normally buy here. I'm supposed to even buy outside when I'm coming yesterday. I thought that maybe when I come back, I will buy here. And I now see crowd. Say, how come? They now tell me that they say the lady, that's the Chinese woman, Chinese lady, doesn't allow black to enter. Surprised, because I normally buy it there. They even give me one name. We almost play together. If I just say Siam, they only call me Siam when they see me. So I buy something there. I don't know. I'm really surprised. If they have problem with maybe any agency, they should go and solve it. But now, I'm telling you the fact. We don't have problem. All of us will enter. I send my sister, I send my brother to buy here. We don't have problem.
Joseph Moses, ATN News, Abuja.
An analyst has criticized the abuse of the nation's educational processes following the increasing admission of candidates under the age of 18 into the university and other tertiary institutions of learning in the country. Reacting on Atlantic Society Watch, a public affairs analyst Goodluck Daffy emphasized on the need for a proper educational regulation in order to checkmate the enrollment of underage students in the university, polytechnics, and colleges of education as well.
The university compound today, you see very young, small boys and girls and all that, studying one course or the other. Do I use the word abuse? It's just an abuse of the process.
In a view of the nation's educational stability, Goodluck Daffy said, maturity of the minds of students is vital to the learning process and can go a long way to reduce the rate of social vices and victimization across higher institutions of learning in the country. This is coming after the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, said the federal government is considering the adoption of 18 years as the entry age for admission into universities and other tertiary institutions of learning. The Nigerian Copyright Commission has dedicated this year's World Book and Copyright Day to the Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka and named July 13 the National Reading Day to mark the 90th birthday of the literary icon. This was disclosed by the Director General NCC John Isain in a statement wherein he also stressed the importance of allowing individuals to read in their preferred manner and location. And I quote, a Nobel laureate in literature, playwright, essayist, literary icon, and UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, Professor Wole Soyinka will turn 90 on the 13th of July 2024. We are pleased to dedicate this year's World Book and Copyright Day to him. He is unarguably the tallest living Iroko in Nigeria's rich literary forest and an advocate of books, reading, and copyright. Beyond a befitting celebration of the literary icon on his birthday, the Commission is calling on stakeholders in the book industry to recognize July 13 as Nigeria's National Reading Day to encourage Nigerians to read for pleasure and draw attention to some of the values that he has advanced in the literary world. I quote, by this recognition, he becomes our first copyright change champion, the NCCDG announced. The Commission urged stakeholders in Nigeria's book industry to recognize July 13 as Nigeria's National Reading Day, coinciding with the 90th birthday of the literary icon. The World Book Day and the Copyright Day are set aside every April 23 by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization to focus on books, celebrate authors, promote reading, encourage non-discriminatory access to knowledge, and raise copyright awareness. The theme for this year's World Book and Copyright Day is Read Your Way. In his goodwill message to correspondents to mark the World Book and Copyright Day on Tuesday, Soyinka stressed the importance of intellectual property rights for authors. The renowned playwright said the prevalence of pirated copies of authors' works reflected poorly on society and government's understanding of copyright. The Federal Ministry of Finance has recovered over 57 billion naira from the 5.2 trillion naira debts owed by ministries, departments, and agencies to the federal government. The Director of Special Projects, Federal Ministry of Finance, Aisha Omar, disclosed this in Enugu on Tuesday during a one-day workshop on the federal government debt recovery drive through the Project Lighthouse program for the Southeast Zone. Declaring the event open, Omar, represented by the Deputy Director of Special Projects in the ministry, Mrs. Bridget Moloko, revealed that the debts came to the spotlight from data aggregated from over 5,000 debtors across more than 93 MDAs. Though she claimed more recoveries had been made, she could, however, not provide the data. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has filed a fresh charge at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory against the embattled former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. EFCC in the charge accused Emefiele of approving the printing of 684,590,000 naira at the rate of 18.96 billion naira. In the charge sheets cited by correspondents on Tuesday, EFCC alleged that Emefiele broke the law with intent to harm the public during his implementation of the Naira swap policy of the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. The anti-graft agency also accused Emefiele of unlawful approving the withdrawal of 124.8 billion naira from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation. You're still watching Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic TV Network. We'll be right back right after this.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human trafficker.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human trafficker.
Welcome back to Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. The Nigerian movie industry has again been thrown into mourning after the news of the death of another veteran Nollywood actor, Zulu Adigwe, surfaced on social media on Tuesday. Adigwe's death was announced by movie producer Stanley Woko in a post on his Instagram page. Mourning the actor, Woko wrote, "Rest in peace, good actor." Adigwe's death is coming 2 weeks after Junior Popes and 3 other Nollywood actors died in a boat accident in Annam River. Adigwe gained recognition primarily for portraying fatherly characters in Nollywood films. His breakthrough role came as Mr. B in the popular sitcom Bassi and Company. Justice Roman Oshodi of an Ikeja Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Court on Tuesday convicted and sentenced a 32-year-old software engineer Chukudi Anyawu, who had unlawful sexual intercourse with his neighbor's 13-year-old daughter on Children's Day 2021 to life imprisonment. The judge, while delivering the judgment, held that the prosecution was able to prove the ingredient of defilement of a minor against Anyawu. He held that the evidence of the survivor was corroborated by the medical report and that of a guardian name withheld. The judge disregarded the testimonies of 2 police officers, ASP Yabo Dawudu with AP number 055567 and Inspector Rebecca Oshola Jacob, who were listed on the prosecution witness list, saying they gave evidence for the defense instead of the prosecution, which showed that their testimonies were tainted. Justice Oshodi also held that the alibi and the issue of extortion, which the convict relied on, the registered Sino truck and a Hoa truck with number plate GSW 180XA had collided with a tricycle with number plate KLE 876WZ, leading to a further collision with a yet-to-be-identified pedestrian. Sources gathered that the impact of the collision was coming directly opposite. The World Bank, in collaboration with the Nasarawa state government on Tuesday, held a one-day sensitization workshop for stakeholders on the dangers of gender-based violence and female genital mutilation. The workshop brought together community and religious leaders from all 13 local government areas of the state. This effort, according to the Nigeria COVID-19 Preparedness and Response Project, a World Bank assisted project, was necessary due to the increase in cases of gender-based violence and other issues affecting the girl child in the state. During the sensitization workshop in Lafia, the gender pillar head of COPREP in the state, Esther Yona, expressed concern about this negative impact of gender-based violence and female genital mutilation on the self-esteem of women. Yona explained that female rights had been the most abused and neglected